Namaskar. I'd like to discuss how to use the Mālā beads, the Japa Mālā, with the different counters used by Tibetans. I've started doing this with Mālā beads because both Hindu Tantric and Buddhist Tantric practices with mantras is to prepare them a number of times by repeating them a number of times before you move on to to learning the sadhana. And the preparation for these is normally to repeat the mantra 1 lakh or 100,000 times. The Tibetans have come up with systems. While Hindus do prepare mantras for large numbers and they have various ways of counting them, the Tibetans came up with a system of counters on prayer beads. This is a set of prayer beads that I made, and I've started making them with these counters. You can see, here we go. The counters, dividers, these are actually dividers to divide the prayer beads into 4. There are 108 beads on a prayer bead, on a Japa Mālā. And the main bead here is the main counter, or sometimes called the Guru bead. The other beads, numbering 108, if a person has just a few minutes to do a mantra, does not have time to do the full 108, the beads here are divided by these dividers beads, these little flat divider beads. They're done different ways. You can use just any bead different from the others. And there are 3 of them here, dividing with the main counter here. It divides the string into 4 groups of 27. So if you don't have a lot of time and you want to do 27, and you have a time on a break or whatever, and you want to do your mantra, you can do it this way. I also make the mantra bead, the Mālā beads, using the Tibetan counters. And 2 of the counters, there are many different ways of stringing these and using these. The counters are not attached. They're just looped around the strings. They can be removed freely. I usually set them 10 out on each side from the main counter. Some people put them with the quarter dividers, and we'll put them there. I do it with 10 because 10 of these is 100,000 counts. Now, 1 round, since there are 108 beads, and we often will make a mistake, we will count 100 per round. I have 2 strings here, the main abacus-like string plus this string. And I'll get into how this is used for large amounts, counting large numbers of mantras. These 2 I normally keep on my daily prayers. I don't use these. But if I'm doing a mantra, committing to do a certain number of mantras, I will use these as counters. And they're basically abacus beads. There are many ways, correct ways of doing it. The idea is just to keep track of the number of mantras you do up to 100,000 if you're doing the 100,000 to prepare a mantra. But what this does, I use the one with the other string and count ones. If I make 1 round here, I take 1 bead and pull it up. And that's 1 round. That's 100. Then 200. On up to 1,000. When I get to up to 100 of these, which would be 1,000. Then I move one of these on the second counter, pull the others all the way down, and keep going. So basically it operates like an abacus. So here, if I did this, I have 3 here and 1 here. So that'd be 13 rounds or 1,300. Let's see, let me get further back. This is 1 here and 3 here. So this would be 13 times 100. So 1,300. And with each round, an extra 100. So counting these, you can count these up to 10,000. So if this is 1,000, all 10 would be 10,000. What happens then? You start with this large counter that I have next to this other one. You see, you can loosen it up. You can loosen it and remove it, but I'm going to slide it here next to the counter. So we start off with it next to the counter. Once you've gone through the round of the abacus beads, you slide it one more over. And that's 10,000. Slide it over again. That's 20,000. And you tighten it in between and keep it there while you're counting on the other abacus. And by the time you get to the end here, even with the one here, you've gone all 10 of them. That's 100,000 repetitions, or 1 lakh repetitions of the beat of the mantra. Now, when I'm not counting like this, I try to keep it from getting knotted. I pull it tight and keep it next to this. And the reason I do is that if I'm only counting, say I decide to do a mantra one day for a particular intercession or particular purpose, particular meditation for myself or for others. I'll count, usually will not count more than on the abacus beads. And having this next to this, you can tell this is the ones, this is the tens. So the ones and tens count rounds of 100. And moving the third counter, the third string, across here counts tens of thousands of mantras. Theoretically, if you go all the way around this, you've gone more than 1,000,000 times. So you can count very large numbers of mantras using this system. And the Tibetans came up with, many times I've read that Hindus will have stones, the right number of stones representing the number of mantras. They'll have 2 containers. They move a stone from one container to the other as they're doing the japa Mālā. This, it's all built in, and you can carry it with you. And many people want to do the preparation of a mantra. Many teachers recommend you do it quietly, isolated, totally focused. And that is a good way of doing it. And any time you do prepare a mantra, you should spend much of your time doing that, quietly with deep focus on the mantra. But it's also important to bring the mantra into your daily life. So doing it while driving, while sitting, waiting for something on a lunch break are also excellent times to do it. It doesn't have to be done in a ceremonial setting. And after preparing a mantra for 100,000 times, then 1/10 of those are offered into the fire ceremony. So you build a fire and offer make an offering of ghee or grains or spices into the fire with each repetition of the mantra. And with this, and this provides the ceremonial offering of the mantra in a meditational worship setting. So for me, doing the mantra and in daily life, then focusing on the ceremonial dedication of it for 1/10, which would be 10,000 repetitions. And not in one setting, it can be done over several nights. By doing this, you've prepared yourself to where the mantra becomes as natural as your own breath. And this is the importance of it. Namaskar. Thank you for listening.